Welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your happiness expert, Samia Bano. Are you a survivor of abuse or other trauma? Are you tired of feeling stuck, silent, and stressed all the time? This is the podcast people from all over the world join in to learn exactly how to stop suffering and start living with more inner peace and joy. Are you ready to eliminate suffering from your life and transform from a survivor to thriver? Then congratulations, you are in the right place. Let's get started. Hey, welcome back to the Survivor to Thriver show. Over the last few episodes, inspired by Valentine's Day, we have been talking about love. And on the very first episode in which we started this mini series on love, I shared with you some really, really important teachings. And what we're doing now is just one by one, sort of delving into those teachings and taking a deeper look at where they're coming from, what they mean, and how we can best understand and apply them in our lives. So today we are going to be focusing on contrasting love and attachment. And the teaching around that is that love is born of compassion, whereas attachment is born of arrogance. Love is born of compassion. Attachment is born of arrogance. So as we think about this statement, I think the first part is fairly intuitive. It's easy enough to understand and see the connection between love and compassion. After all, compassion is to take a walk in another person's shoes, to see life. It's our attempt, our effort to see life as another person does, to attempt to feel and experience what the other is feeling and experiencing. So when we take on the other's perspective, we experience a sense of oneness with them, right? I mean, our perspective is an integral part of who we are. So when we are able to share our perspective with someone else, that someone else becomes a part of who we are. It's like, imagine if you were to draw a diagram, right? Imagine that each person is a circle in the diagram, okay? And you represent one circle, and let's say there's a second person, so there are two circles. And as long as you're not practicing compassion and empathy with this other person, you're like just two separate circles sitting on your own, okay? But the moment we begin to practice compassion and empathy, and we begin to merge in the perspective, I begin to share your perspective, you begin to share my perspective. It's as if our circles come closer together, and then we intersect, you know? And so now we have become one, like one shape that consists of two intersecting circles. So we're still maintaining our own identities at one level, but at another level, we have become, because of the points of intersection that we have reached, we have also become one. Okay, so that's fairly easy to see, and so yes, we can see how the experience of love as oneness, especially, right? Which is how I define love. My heart defines love as an experience of oneness, is a very natural consequence of our practicing empathy and compassion. However, I know, like, when I first heard the second part of the teaching, which says that attachment is born of arrogance, it wasn't immediately clear for me why that would be the case. Like, what's the relationship between attachment and arrogance? So remember, attachment, as we defined it, is this state of clinging on to something else, and implicitly in that clinging on is our belief that we are not as one with this thing that we're clinging on to. Hence, we need to cling on to this thing, right? So it's a relatively surface level of connection. It does not attachment does not allow us to connect or to feel connected at the deeper levels of essence. So why would it be the case that attachment is born of arrogance? Well, I think to really understand this point, we need to look at what is arrogance. So now, once again, in sharing the reflections that I'm going to share with you now are the reflections of my heart on this point. So I may get a little philosophical again, but as before, if I do get philosophical and lose you somewhere, please do not hesitate to go on my website at www.academyofthriving.com and just connect with me from our Contact Us page. And I would love to delve deeper into the conversation with you and see what we can do about reframing it in a way that is more grounded in concrete examples and so forth. And who knows, that might give us our next podcast episode, which will help everyone, a clarification that would help everyone. So do not hesitate to connect with me if I get too vague or, philosophical. But that aside, let's get back to the definition of arrogance as my heart defines it. So for my heart, arrogance is thinking and believing that we are self-sufficient. Arrogance is thinking and believing that we are self-sufficient. In other words, the attitude of arrogance refuses to acknowledge that we are in fact all parts of an interconnected, interdependent whole. So if I have success, the truth of the matter is, it's not mine alone. It was achieved in a context where I had lots of help and support, both directly and indirectly, from everything and everyone around me, right? I mean, just think about any success you have achieved in your life. Let's say you have become really successful in the context of having earned a lot of money. Well, did you manage to earn that money in a vacuum? My gosh, we can't even exist in a vacuum, right? I mean, we need air to breathe. We need food to eat. We need clothes to wear to protect ourselves from the elements. We need shelter, right? I mean, where's the air that we are breathing coming from? I didn't make up that air. It's the trees around me that are producing that oxygen. and helping to keep the air clean. The water that I need to drink, I didn't invent that water. I didn't make up that water. I'm depending on the ecosystems that surround me for the air and the water and the food that I need to survive. And let's say, okay, I've made a lot of money. How did I make that money? Well, I mean, if you, assuming you're not doing illegal things, that you have a legitimate, let's say, a business, or perhaps you do some kind of job, well, you have to interact with other people. Other people have to be willing to interact with you and buy your products or services, or be willing to accept your labor in exchange for the money that they give you back. So you cannot, make money existing in a vacuum. Even the clothes that you're wearing, the food you're eating, for the vast majority of us, who are living in civilized societies, right? We're not making our own clothes. We're not making our own shoes. We're not making our own homes. Other people are contributing all of that labor and, the different parts of what we need. And we enter into an exchange with people. We give something and they give us something else back. Right? So we are so interconnected and so interdependent, not only with the people around us, but with our ecology. And to think that we are self-sufficient is just, please, if we think that way, then we're just disconnected from reality, right? And so, but that's exactly what arrogance, the attitude of arrogance leads us towards, is this attitude of believing I'm self-sufficient, I'm the primary or maybe even the lone cause of my success. And when you take on this kind of attitude, you automatically separate yourself and other yourself from everyone and everything around you. Right? Do you see how that is? Yeah, if you're saying you're self-sufficient, you're seeing yourself as an individual unit. And so you're creating separation between yourself and others. And the thing is that if I have this kind of arrogant attitude, the sort of kind of good thing that comes out of it, because of which we may be tempted to continue to encourage this arrogance in us, is that it really feels good at the level of satisfying our pride. It makes us feel, you just feel more satisfied at the level of your pride. But it also has a really unfortunate side effect, right? And that unfortunate side effect is that our deeper underlying need to be connected with others becomes compromised, right? Because through our arrogance, we have created separation between ourselves and others. So our need for connection, being able to have deep, meaningful connections, becomes compromised. And once that need for connection is compromised, we are not able to, it creates discontent in our heart and mind, right? Because remember, our feelings are our friends, and they're always giving us messages and alerting us. In the case of negative feelings, or what we perceive as negative feelings, there are signs and signals that are trying to let us know that we're headed in the wrong direction, that there's something missing, there's something that we need that we're not getting. And the side effect of arrogance is that it compromises our ability to meet our need for deep, meaningful connections. And so the result of that is feelings of discontent, right? We cannot achieve contentment in our hearts when our need for connection is not being met. And this is such a deep need. It's such a vital, it's not just like a need where you need to be connected in order to even just survive, right? So your system, your heart, your mind, your soul will not allow you to continue life without seeking deeper, more meaningful connections. It just won't. So you will begin to do the best that you can with what you know and what you have to meet this need for connection. Unfortunately, as long as you're living in a state of arrogance, the best you can do is form connections at the level of attachment, which, as we were talking about in the last episodes, is a fairly surface level of attachment. Because you have the sense of separation with others around you, you're not able to go to connect at the deeper levels of essence, right? And so you're still not able to fully meet your need for connection. There's still, that something missing that keeps you stuck in a state of discontent, right? As long as you maintain your attitude of arrogance, it will breed attachment, it'll keep you trapped in the illusion of separation, and it'll continue to create discontent in your heart and in your mind. And most people react to that discontent by getting into this rat race where they're always chasing after the next thing and the next thing and the next thing that they hope and think and hope and believe and really hope that it will make them happy, that it will allow them to feel the kind of contentment that they really need and desire in their lives, right? So you're always chasing after that next thing, but you never get there. You never find that contentment and that happiness and that peace, because it cannot be had by acquiring more stuff. It can only be had by addressing the root cause of that discontent, and which is to develop more deep, meaningful connections with everything that is around you. And in order to do that, we have to let go of our arrogance, and we have to learn to connect with everything that's around us through love and through compassion. Okay, so that's a fairly sobering thought, but there's good news in there, right? Because now you know the problem and you know the solution. So next episode, let's talk about how we can apply the solution that we've just talked about. And I'll go ahead and wrap up right here for today. And until we connect tomorrow, I just want to remind you to please show me some of your love by going on iTunes and leaving this show a 5-star rating. And if you have an extra minute or two, I would love for you to also leave me a comment along with that rating, because you know how much I love to hear from you. So a comment is even more greatly appreciated, although even just the 5-star rating is awesome. Okay, so until next episode, I wish you lots of peace and joy.